I am the cherished first love of a wealthy family who was brought back to life 4 years after my death. By then, my replacement had already taken my place successfully, wearing my face and taunting me smugly. Everything that was yours is now mine, you're too late. However, she didn't realize that the allure of the beloved first love is so strong that once I appear, everyone abandons their principles to come to me. I'm back, Mom. As I pushed open the grand doors of the Shin family home without any resistance, I greeted my mother, who was sitting on the sofa, with a smile. Just like every time I returned home, it seemed like an ordinary day, but suddenly, there was a loud clang. It was the sound of her teacup smashing on the floor. Her response to my return was a tearful cry. My Yushi is back. I am Shin Yushi, the young mistress of the Shin family, who died from heart failure, in my dying moments. I was bound by a system for quick transmigration, and I realized that I was just the tragically early deceased first love in a story about replacements. The real protagonist is my lookalike replacement. Due to her appearance, she crossed social classes and caught the attention of the wealthy elite, becoming the darling of their world. Eventually, my parents took her as their goddaughter, my childhood friend became her lover, and my younger brother obeyed her every command. She received everyone's love, but all this was predicated on my death. So, when the system asked if I was willing to complete the task and return to life in my original world, I didn't hesitate to agree. Why should my life be a mere stepping stone for someone else? Even my tragic death being used as a starting point for someone else's happiness. So, I came back. Mom, it's me, I'm back. My mother's embrace was as warm as ever, but now it felt almost suffocatingly tight. As if she was afraid that I would disappear if she let go, I sighed and gently patted her frail body, comforting her. The system altered memories, changing my death from a futile medical rescue 4 years ago to a disappearance in a maritime accident. She thought she had been searching for me day after day for years, now, regained what was lost. However, this tearful mother-daughter reunion was soon interrupted by a noise at the door. Mom, look what we bought for you. Before she even appeared, a sweet yet unfamiliar female voice rang out. A young girl carrying a box of pastries rushed in first. Soon after, I heard an extremely familiar voice, filled with indulgence. Slow down, don't run. With just that phrase, I recognized him. Xie, the boy I grew up with. Mom, do we have guests? Why are you crying? This was my brother, Shinju, who spoke as he entered, but with my back to him, he couldn't recognize me. He only saw our mother and a young girl embracing and crying. And he hesitated before asking. I felt my mother grip my hand even tighter, her eyes red and lips trembling, wanting to speak, but tears kept flowing. Mom, don't cry. What's going on? Who is this sister? Shiha, why are you pinching me? It hurts. The sweet voice spoke again, this time with a hint of whining complaint. Shiha seemed to sense something, his intense gaze fixed on my back, indifferent to the young girl's complaint. His Adam's apple moving as he tried to utter a familiar but long strange name. Why is everyone acting so weird today? The security guard at the door even said I had just come back a while ago. How strange, the girl muttered, glancing at our crying mother. I glanced at my silent brother and Xie Zhiheng, whose mood was visibly off. Finally, my gaze rested on myself, and a sudden uneasy premonition rose in my heart. As if to confirm this premonition, I emerged from my mother's embrace, turned my head, and looked at them. Zhiheng, long time no see. Yushi. Xie Zhiheng's voice trembled almost imperceptibly, while Shinju was much more outspoken. Shin Yushi, you dare to come back? Where have you been all these years? Did you know I really thought you were dead? How could you? The 18-year-old boy was far from composed. He spoke through clenched teeth, his eyes frighteningly red, tears falling like tiny pearls uncontrollably. Feeling guilty, I patted his shoulder. Ju has grown up. Back then, he was just a 14-year-old kid, and now he's all grown up. Seemingly unable to hold back any longer, he rested his head on my shoulder, sobbing softly. Sister, I missed you so much. This was a reunion filled with both sadness and joy. It was only when a food container dropped to the ground that everyone noticed the girl who had been standing at the door, silent until now. I looked at her, her face, so similar to mine, had lost all color and looked terribly disheveled. We sat down together for a dinner where everyone had different thoughts, surrounded by dishes I loved. My mother kept serving me food zealously, while Shinju peeled shrimp for me conscientiously. When Xie Zhiheng subconsciously placed my favorite plum pork ribs into Yun Tian's bowl, everyone paused momentarily. Thank you. Yun Tian tightened her palm, her tone calm as she thanked him, her first words since learning of my identity. Xie Zhiheng paused, then responded faintly. I didn't let the undercurrents at the dinner table bother me and continued eating calmly. Your room has remained unchanged. I've been cleaning it every day myself. Now that you're back, go rest well. The doctor will come to check on you later. And your father will be back tomorrow. My mother's incessant chatter was her way of showing care, and I responded to each point. They didn't say much about Yun Tian, but I wasn't flustered. This was the confidence of being loved. What I hadn't expected was that if I didn't go to the mountains would come to me. Late at night, my room door was knocked. Opening the door, it was Yuntion's familiar face, standing there with a glass of milk. I raised an eyebrow at her, somewhat surprised, thinking it was an attempt to ease the awkwardness, but unexpectedly, her expression changed from the silence at the dinner table to one of scorn. You should have stayed dead. Why come back? Do you think you can beat me? I've been winning them over for 4 years, except for this room. Everything you once had is now mine. You've come back too late. Understand, strategy was a familiar term. Her words had just ended when, without waiting for my reaction, she poured the milk over her own face and then, with a scream, fell to the ground as the glass shattered with a crisp sound. Tears streamed down her face. Sister, I'm sorry. I just wanted to please you. There was no malice. It had been a long time since I had experienced such a low-level trap, and in that moment, I even found it somewhat amusing, coldly observing the pitiful girl on the ground, her clothes thin, the milk soaking her hair, her eyes red and fearful, overall evoking pity. In truth, I wasn't keen on competing with Yuntian. Whatever her reasons, she had been the one providing some comfort to my loved ones over the years. I bore her no great malice, only wishing she would understand the situation and back down on her own, but her hostility towards me was clearly not insignificant. The commotion of the night always draws attention, especially on such a day. None of the people in the house had any intention of sleeping, so when Yuntian screamed, a few other doors opened one after another. What happened? Is it Yushi? Did something happen to Yushi? Mother Shin, pale-faced and hastily dressed, had even put on her shoes incorrectly. It was only when she came out and saw me standing there unharmed that she breathed a sigh of relief. Over the years, her sleep had been poor, frequently disturbed by dreams filled with unsettling images. Mom, after confirming I was safe, Yuntian's plaintive call finally reached her ears. What happened? Why did you fall? Mother Shin frowned as she looked at the shards of the cup next to Yuntian. Before Yuntian could reply, she spoke again. How could you be so careless? What if the broken glass had hurt someone? Get up now. It was sister. Yuntian pursed her lips, on the verge of tears. But her performance was once again interrupted. What happened to your hand? Shinju very clearly grasped my hand, noticing a small, bleeding wound on the pale back of my hand, likely caused by a splinter of glass. It wasn't painful, and I didn't feel much else, but Shinju's brows were furrowed as if facing a major crisis. Can't you take better care of yourself? Didn't you know you were hurt? He chided me, instinctively blowing on the wound like he used to when we were children, before quickly realizing, I'll get the first aid kit. Saying this, he was about to run off. Mother Shin also hurried over, distressed. Ju, go quickly, she's bleeding. Yushi, does it hurt a lot? It's my fault. I didn't notice you were hurt. She held my injured hand, filled with guilt. Yuntian, once again ignored by everyone, couldn't help but twist her face in a moment of frustration. Ever since her face had helped her marry into a wealthy family, she hadn't tasted defeat. The doting of her parents, the care from her lover, and the attention from her younger brother were all within easy reach. She thought she was the happiest person in the world, but why did the deceased have to come back to life? Mom, it's okay, it's not painful. I noticed Yuntian's resentment and jealousy, knowing she wouldn't let this go easily. Some things, when possessed for too long, are subconsciously assumed to be one's own. Mom, I'm in pain. I'm hurt too. Yuntian, seizing the moment when Mother Shin was distracted, grabbed a piece of glass, her palm bleeding profusely. She spread out her cut palm pitifully, tears welling up in her eyes, longing for her mother's attention and affection. The first aid kit. I've got it. Shinju appeared just in time, pausing briefly as he saw Yuntian's bloodied hand. Ju, it hurts. She knew exactly which tactics worked best with Shinju. Every time she showed weakness and dependency like this, he would reluctantly but carefully take care of her, always catering to her desires. Though it was just a brief pause, she saw it as a sign of hope and called out again. Ju. Shinju pursed his lips, the first aid kit in his hands now taken by Mother Shin, who hurriedly pulled me into the room to treat my wound. Ju, help her up. Of course, I was aware of the neglect from my mother and brother, focused more on me, partly because they feared I would feel uncomfortable because of Yuntian. After all, having such a similar face, I wasn't naive and understood well the role she had played during my absence. My speaking out was unexpected even to my mother. She paused, looked back, and since Shinju always listened to me, he carefully navigated around the debris to help Yuntian up from the ground. Ju, do you and Mom dislike me now? Yuntian stood up, leaning on his strength, her eyes red with grievance. All her pretense couldn't stand up against a single sentence from me. Shinju did not answer her. I just wanted to bring a cup of milk to my sister. I really didn't mean any harm. I don't know why she pushed me. Mom ignores me. My sister hates me. Ju, are you trying to drive me away? Ju. If I apologize to my sister, will she forgive me? I don't want to leave you all, my sister, she Yuntian. Shinju called her name indifferently, stopping her mid-sentence. She snapped out of her emotions and looked up at Shinju. His calm gaze met hers. As if he were looking at a stranger, he said, Shin Yushi is my sister. With that one statement, Yuntian understood his implication. Shin Yushi was his sister, not hers, so her constant reference to Yushi as sister was incorrect. Shin Yushi was his sister, and thus his trust in her was unconditional. He wouldn't believe a word against her. Tears fell one by one from Yuntian's eyes as she spoke stubbornly. What about me? Ju, what do these 3 years we spent together mean? You used to call me a sister too? Her voice trailed off, choked with emotion. I never did. I never called you a sister. Shinju denied. He had never called Yuntian a sister. Except maybe the first time they met when he thought she was someone else. Yuntian choked up. Recalling that instance, realizing Shinju was mostly silent, she thought he was just not very talkative. She hadn't expected that he had always clearly distinguished between his real sister and her, not even sparing the term sister, but she couldn't believe it. After 3 years of living together, she couldn't accept that Shinju had no feelings for her at all. Are we not family? She murmured to herself. This time, Shinju did not respond. He just gave Yuntian a deep look and turned to go inside. Yuntian's expression changed several times before she fell silent and followed Shinju inside. This was her first time entering this room, previously as taboo as any other. After becoming the adopted daughter of the Shin family, the room was styled completely differently from hers, yet every detail was exquisite. She had always thought that one day she would live here as the mistress, but in the end, it was its true master who opened it. My wound had been treated, and I hadn't missed the commotion at the door. Miss Yun's wound should be treated too. Ju, help her out, the medicine box is here, I spoke up, my voice gentle and kind, the way Shinju remembered best. Okay, sure. Shinju did not refuse and complied obediently, but Yuntian felt humiliated. She thought I was showing off. Her eyes occasionally sweeping over me with a dark look, yet, as if unaware, I continued talking to Shin's mother. The doctor said you are severely depleted, you need to take good care of yourself, and let me know immediately if you feel unwell. Yes, I'll listen to mom, don't worry too much about me. I'm not a child anymore, no matter how old you get. In mom's eyes, you'll always be a child, the treasure I hold dear in my heart. Shin's mother was a loving mother, but she rarely expressed her love so openly. I felt a twinge in my nose, thinking of all the tasks I had completed in strange little worlds, never daring to stop for the sake of revival. I've been through a lot, and the belief that sustained me was always the idea of returning home. I thought I was strong enough. But a few simple words from my mother could still easily soften my heart. A sharp pain caused Shinju to pause momentarily as Yuntian severely hurt herself. The wound in her palm deep and embedded with shards of glass, requiring careful removal. Endure it a bit, Shinju said softly. His eyes and eyebrows lowered as he patiently completed the task his sister had assigned. Yuntian, her voice nasal, hummed in response. She remained silent thereafter, gripping the crumpled hem of her skirt tightly whenever the pain intensified. Soon, Shinju had her wound neatly bandaged. I rubbed my temples wearily, and Mother Shin, noticing my gesture, spoke up. It's late, everyone should go to sleep, whatever matters there can wait until tomorrow. She glanced deliberately at Yuntian, seemingly warning her to stay in line. Yuntian's words stuck in her throat as Shinju packed up and stood, nodding at me before he left, saying, Sister, good night. I smiled and responded warmly. Ju, see you tomorrow, seemed more hopeful than just, good night, and Shinju's steps lightened a bit. Mother Shin had left with Yuntian, and I knew they probably had more to discuss. Sure enough, just as I closed my eyes, I heard voices. My experiences as a task performer had left me with some unusual abilities and talents. Tian, is your hand okay? It was Mother's gentle voice, followed soon by a weeping female voice of Mom. I thought you didn't want me anymore. It hurt so much. My hand and my heart both hurt. Why didn't you pay attention to me just now? I'm your daughter too, Yuntian cried, asserting her place as a daughter, albeit not by birth. Yushi just got back, she's understandably sensitive. I thought to look after her a bit more. Can you understand, Mom? You're all my children, and I love you all the same. Besides, you've been by my side for so many years, how could I not want you, silly child? Don't overthink it. Tomorrow I'll have a doctor come over to properly bandage your hand again. We can't have any scars. Mother Shin switched from her cold demeanor in front of me to a completely different, caring tone. I listened, my brow furrowing, not understanding her intentions. Until Yuntian spoke up again. I knew Mom loved me too. Sister is just too sensitive. I didn't mean to compete with her. I genuinely wanted to be part of this family. She's really hostile towards me. She even purposely, yes, Tion, you're a good child, I'll speak to Yushi about this, you'll just have to bear with it for a bit, I'll need to check the surveillance footage tomorrow to see who's been negligent. Yushi mentioned you tripped over something outside her room door, which is quite dangerous, causing both of you to get injured. Mother Shin interrupted Tion, speaking mostly to herself. Her tone slightly annoyed, as if she was truly displeased with the careless work of the servants. Tian choked up, surveillance, so there were cameras at the room door. No wonder Shinju didn't believe her earlier. It's not that, I was just careless and tripped over myself. Mom, you don't need to bother. I'll be more careful next time. I'm sorry for also causing sister to get hurt. Tian quickly changed her statement, swallowing back any accusations she was about to make. She can't shoot herself in the foot. Oh, is that so? Shin's mother seemed somewhat surprised. Yes, it's my fault for still being so impetuous at my age. I'll apologize to my sister tomorrow, Tian said surprisingly easily. It might be because she was overly confident about their relationship over the years. To her, it was just a minor hiccup that didn't matter much. 11. Host, are you feeling sad? The quiet outside had returned. But I was still pondering the conversation between my mother and Tian. Although my mother seemed to have little affection for Tian, she was very comforting behind the scenes. Every word seemed meaningful, appearing to show concern, but in reality, they were all meant to favor me and Tian. Why did she so easily believe what my mother said? I was reminded of the term strategy she used. Does she also have a system like me? Before I could figure it out, the system, which had been unbound, suddenly spoke in my mind, asking if I was feeling sad. I paused, somewhat astonished. Why have you come back? I still want to see if the life you chose is worse than listening to me, not returning to the original world, and choosing immortality. No, this is where I belong. I shook my head, denying the system's words. But your mother has acknowledged another daughter. You're not the only one anymore. Like all the past world's beloveds, you will eventually be replaced by a substitute. No. Maybe you have already been replaced. Isn't it good to live in memories where one is always cherished? The system didn't quite understand human emotions, it could only analyze from actual situations. That won't happen. I trust my mother. A mother's love for her child cannot be faked. And I firmly believe she loves me deeply. My conversation with the system ended with its silence, and I knew it hadn't left for good. The night grew more silent, and I closed my eyes in fatigue. It was my soul that was more exhausted than my body. Though each death wasn't the end, the recurring agony was something I had genuinely experienced. 12. Brother Zhiheng, are you here to take me out? When I saw Xie Zhiheng's figure, Tian had already eagerly thrown herself into his arms. With Shin's mother's comforting words from last night, she felt she hadn't lost. It was just the initial impact of the returned beloved that was strong. Over time, she believed she would stick around, so. Facing Xie Zhiheng, she was equally confident. I watched the two embracing not far away and stopped in my tracks. My hand is injured. Can you pamper me today? Tian showed her newly bandaged palm to Xie Zhiheng, seeking sympathy. Usually, he would have been very sympathetic. But this time Xie Zhiheng paused, and after realizing, he pushed the person in his arms away. Sorry Tian, I'm not here for you today. Yushi, do you have time for a chat? He looked up at me. I raised an eyebrow, glanced at Tian, who was full of hostility towards me, and smiled in agreement. Sure. For the first time, Xie Zhiheng resisted Tian's coquettish behavior, giving us a chance to be alone. In the cafe, we looked at each other in silence. So quiet that I thought he just wanted to have a coffee with me. I thought after such a long time, we would have a lot to talk about. Xie Zhiheng sighed deeply. I stopped stirring my coffee and looked up at him. What do you want to say? You're still the same as before, cutting straight to the point. He didn't leave any room for subtlety. He laughed, seemingly confident in his understanding of me. First, I owe you an apology regarding Tian. I was wrong, he said, admitting his mistake of treating her as a stand-in for me. I will explain things to her clearly. Yushi, do we still have a chance? His gaze was intense as he looked at me, reminiscent of the unresolved tension between us 4 years ago. It's not possible anymore, I replied decisively, leaving Xie Zhiheng stunned. He froze, unable to comprehend why I would respond this way. Why? He asked almost reflexively. Simply because I don't like you anymore, I answered without any burden. After so many years in this foreign world, I've seen enough of such dramas and even found them somewhat dull now. This meeting ended unpleasantly, but I quickly put it behind me. However, someone took it very seriously. Enjoying your chat with someone else's boyfriend, sister. Tian's voice suddenly emerged from behind me in the flower room. I paused in trimming the branches and turned to look at her. Don't you find it tiring, maintaining this facade? Before others, she played the weak and vulnerable, but with me, her tone was full of provocation. Tired? Why would I be tired? Playing your role allows me to live a life like yours, which is far too easy, but I just can't understand. Why are you still alive? She shed her frail disguise and became aggressively confrontational. How I live is none of your business. What's not yours will never be yours. Lives built on pretense never last. Isn't it better to be yourself? If you want, I can give you some money. I don't really care for the identity of the adopted daughter of the Shin family. I was willing to be merciful before things got out of hand, but I'm no saint ready to step aside and let her trample over me and claim a legitimate place in the Shin family. Your high and mighty attitude is truly annoying. At the end of the day, you're just being hypocritical. You must really hate me deep down, Shin Yushi. Are you jealous of me, or are you scared? Yuntian couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh, as if she had seen a weakness of mine that no one else knew. Shin Yushi, you're not as confident as you think you are. You're scared that even after your return, they will still choose me. After all, during the years you were gone, it was I who was by their side day and night. Yuntian grew more convinced of her own words, her demeanor smug. I hate smart fools. Since that's the case, there's nothing left to discuss, I said, facing a face that bore a resemblance to mine but showed an expression I could never have. I closed my eyes, unable to bear it any longer. Of course, I will fight you to the end, Shin Yushi. I won't lose, just wait and see. Her fighting spirit was palpable as she dropped these words, her departing figure exuding arrogance, almost as if cued by her declaration of war. My luck started to turn. Little mishaps happened now and then, which I initially ignored, until a car accident almost broke my legs. Thankfully Shinju appeared just in time to save me. A narrowly avoided accident left my mother in tears and trembling with fear. I began to stay alert, and indeed, during the birthday banquet that day, another accident occurred. This was the first birthday I celebrated in 4 years since coming home, attended by friends from my old social circle. They clinked glasses and reminisced with me. Compared to me, Yuntian's situation was much quieter. After all, an adopted daughter couldn't compare with one's own flesh and blood, let alone a stand-in, whether in terms of emotional ties or perceived value. These scions of wealthy families preferred to socialize with me. Sister, this drink is for you, Yuntian said politely in front of others, almost too sweetly. I didn't take her glass, but chose another from the waiter's tray. Then I'll have the same as sister, she said, casting a subtle glance my way. I was willing to maintain the facade of cordiality with her and slightly nodded in agreement. She took the initiative to toast me, and in this battle between the true principal and the substitute, it seemed unsurprising that I had the upper hand, but I knew Yuntian wasn't someone who would give up easily. Almost as soon as she made a move, I signaled with my eyes for someone to follow her. Soon after, a piercing scream erupted. Yuntian emerged from Shinju's room, her dress torn and her face flushed. Stumbling as she ran, my heart tightened until a waiter passing by slipped something into my hand, calming me down. Why did you drug my drink? Yuntian accused, blushing with shame before fainting. Immediately, someone dialed for a doctor. The guests present, spurred by her outcry, cast strange glances my way. Some more perceptive ones even thought to take their leave, not wanting to offend anyone lightly. However, I spoke up at this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, no need to rush off. I too am curious about the drugging Miss Yun mentions. Right and wrong cannot be established by mere words. This slander, I, Shin Yushi, will not accept. Following my words, the room fell silent. Yuntian was quickly covered with a coat, and the doctor who arrived soon after began treating her. Minutes later, she regained consciousness. Upon opening her eyes and seeing me, her eyes reddened, her lips quivered, and her body shrank. Shiheng has broken up with me. Do you still refuse to let me go? I know you hate me, thinking I'm unworthy to be your stand-in, but I've always regarded you as my sister, and Ju, he protects you so much. Are you afraid he'll monopolize the Shin family, so you want to frame him too? Even though I'm adopted, incest between siblings would be a huge scandal. Her words were filled with schemes and provocation, not just trying to alienate my family from me but also to tarnish my reputation. Is Shin Yushi really such a person? It doesn't seem like it. Who knows? After all, with the years she's been missing, there's been a blank slate. Maybe she picked up some bad habits outside. People change. I actually think this Miss Yun is quite pitiable. Indeed, when it came to the interests of family inheritance, some began to waver, and murmurs arose. Yushi, Yuntian is innocent. The matter of the stand-in has nothing to do with her. If you have an issue, come at me. Whether it was a sympathy for the underdog or Xie Shiheng's chivalrous spirit, he frowned and stood disapprovingly in front of me. Are you sick? Have you had enough acting? I looked up impatiently, failing to understand the meaning of such men in every little world I encountered. Mom, I'm scared. Yuntian turned towards my mother standing behind me. Suddenly, as if seeing a savior, I turned around and was about to speak when my mother interrupted me for the first time. Enough, stop this now. I was stunned because I knew that this was directed at me. My mother, whom I trusted unconditionally, was for the first time opposing me. Was she really siding with the stand-in? Yet, why was her hand trembling slightly? I told you, you can't beat the female lead, host. I'm willing to give you another chance. Rebind with me. The system's voice, full of temptation, rang out again, still not giving up on persuading me after being silent for so long. Shut up. I scolded in my mind, already annoyed. What did you say I did again? I asked, looking at Yun Tian with a stern gaze. She seemed proud, basking in the scolding I received from her mother on her behalf. Of course, it was about drugging. You didn't want to drink my cup of wine. So guiding me to drink another was your intention, right, sister? I can't believe you hate me so much, even to the point of hurting. Ju, he's your own brother, you're too cold-hearted. Yun Tian was crying. Yet the look she gave me was one of bright defiance and pity. She seemed to think I had already lost. Thanks for standing up for me. I just came back with a gift for my sister. Can someone tell me what's going on? Shinju, who had said he was feeling unwell and resting in his room, suddenly entered neatly dressed from the doorway. He was holding an exquisite gift box, obviously not lying. Everyone was stunned, since Shinju wasn't in the room. Yun Tian's hasty exit earlier must have been self-directed. Yun Tian was also confused. Although the lights were off, she clearly felt someone in the room. Miss Yun was so proactive just now. Turns out she mistook someone else, a young man said as he walked out of Shinju's room. His every move was casual, his shirt unbuttoned revealing ambiguous red marks on his chest. This was Shinju's notorious playboy friend, while everyone's attention was diverted. I took the opportunity to grab Shinju's phone and inserted a memory card given to me by a waiter. The video on it showed Yun Tian's self-directed actions. Is this the drugging you mentioned? I pulled up the video of Yun Tian toasting to me, then secretly adding powder to her drink. She also specially had a servant bring water laced with drugs to Shinju under the guise of caring for him, then entered his room when the time was right. But she didn't expect that the person sleeping in the room wasn't Shinju, and the playboy, following his principle of taking advantage of situations, had allowed her approach. How can it not be this way? This video is fake, Yun Tian exclaimed in disbelief, frantically calling out to her system in her mind. Why aren't you helping me block this? What are you doing? Do you even know who your real master is? I was taken aback, catching the desperation in Yun Tian's eyes. How could I hear her inner voice? Her system remained unresponsive, but I sensed a familiar energy fluctuation. As the mocking gazes almost drowned her, Yun Tian called out desperately, "Mom," as if commanded. Shin's mother suddenly spoke up, "Enough, Yushi. Tian was just joking with you. Don't take it to heart." I couldn't believe such disjointed words came from my most trusted mother. Anger tinted Shinju's face, but I held back the impulsive young man from lashing out. The expressions of the guests varied, but Yun Tian was visibly pleased. Right, sister, it was just a joke, a naive prank. You won't hold it against me, right? I just wanted to foster a closer sisterly bond. I won't dare do it again. She cheekily stuck out her tongue, her flimsy excuse convincing no one, but it was the protective stance of Shin's mother. Of course, I wouldn't mind. If we were at a circus, I suppose I'd be more supportive there. I dropped the comment and quickly led the increasingly agitated Shinju out of the scene. I really can't understand her. Why does she still defend that person? They used to say Yun Tian was your substitute. I thought she couldn't bear the pain of losing you and found someone else to focus on. She wants a happy family, and I played along with her. But now that you're back, what is she really doing? Is she sacrificing her own daughter for her adopted one? Shinju punched the wall. A teenager who couldn't fully grasp the complex emotions, he just felt that his mother's actions were unfair to his sister. Don't be angry, I'm not upset. Her tricks can't hurt me. I pulled his hand away, feeling somewhat helpless as his knuckles were reddened. When he was younger, he would need me to soothe even the smallest scrape, and now he resorts to punching walls. But Mom, she ain't enough, I'll handle this. Why don't you tell me what happened during the years I was away? I felt like the plot had changed from what I had known before. Shinju pursed his lips and nodded. Mom, did you have a nightmare again? In the middle of the night, when Shin's mother came to check on me, I opened my eyes and called out to her. This wasn't the first time she had come to check on me secretly at night, but it was the first time I didn't pretend to be asleep. I only learned today from Shinju that she used to have nightmares and had trouble sleeping until Yun Tian came. And then things slowly got better. Seemingly not expecting me to be awake, Shin's mother paused, opened her mouth as if to say something, worry evident in her eyes. Finally, she awkwardly said, "I'm sorry." Those 3 words made me cast aside all my doubts, my heart aching uncontrollably. Mom, you have nothing to apologize for. I know you have your reasons for what you've done, right, Yushi? Death is painful. If I could, I would really want my child to never have to experience these things. But I'm a useless mother, only able to watch her die over and over again in different ways, powerless to stop it. Her tears fell on my face as she tenderly stroked my hair. My expression remained calm, but inside, a storm was brewing. Did she mean that she could see every one of my deaths? What an impact that must have had on her. I felt somewhat suffocated by the thought. But how could an ordinary person see these things? My greatest wish is for you to have a safe and smooth life. Leave everything else to me. That was the last thing my mother said to me that night. A late-night talk left me unsettled for a long time. Yun Tian, relying on mother's favoritism, had already stopped making superficial efforts with me. Of course, I wasn't easy to provoke. And she gained no advantages from me. The most recent conflict was about a set of jewelry that Shin's mother had given me. Sister, how does it look? Yuntian, wearing the necklace I had only worn once, asked me with a smug look in her eyes. Didn't anyone ever tell you that taking without asking is stealing? Put it down, and get out of this room. She dropped her act, and I naturally didn't greet her with a smile. I won't put it down, I want this set. If you're unhappy, go complain to mom. Saying this, Yuntian was about to leave with the jewelry. I grabbed her arm. I said, put it down. She rolled her eyes, trying to shake me off, but I grabbed her hair and smashed her head against the dressing table mirror. Don't you understand? Yuntian was shocked. She never expected that I, usually so gentle, would resort to violence so suddenly. You dare to hit me. I won't let you get away with this. Yuntian screamed in anger, with a slight click of my tongue and an expressionless face. I continued to pull her hair and smash her head against the dressing table amidst her screams. I'm going to kill you, Shin Yushi, the system. She has violated the rules. You should kill this wretch quickly. Last time you said that the affection overdraft blocking function was ineffective. There should be no excuse this time. Suddenly, my arm felt numb, and all my suspicions were confirmed at that moment. The system had indeed betrayed me, or rather, Yuntian and I had been using the same system all along. Only harming another user bound to the same system is considered a violation of the rules, and would be punishable. Shin Yushi has unbound from the system and is no longer a mission participant. The system has no authority to erase her. It was the system's familiar voice, but it came from Yuntian. The drama eventually attracted the attention of the servants, who called Shin's mother, in the living room. Yuntian played the victim and cried, while I sat opposite her with a cold face, eyes closed, unwilling to watch. Since you two can't get along, Yushi, you should go abroad. For many years, it has been Tian by my side, and I'm used to it. Suddenly, Shin's mother spoke up, and the room fell silent. I opened my eyes and saw Yuntian barely able to contain her glee. Although Shin's mother let her lean on her, the look in her eyes was cold, but Yuntian, too thrilled, failed to notice. Her words sounded like a victory trumpet, and people often overlook crucial details when they are too proud. All right, I looked at Shin's mother, remained silent for a long time, and finally spoke that single word, loser. Yuntian mouthed provocatively as she leaned against Shin's mother. The decision for me to go abroad was thus settled, and Yuntian couldn't wait to declare her victory to the world. There was much gossip in our circles, and Shinju was so angry he didn't come home. But he couldn't change anyone's decision. System, I've thought it over. I'm willing to rebind with you. I want to make them regret. Maybe you are right. The moonlight is only worth remembering when it exists in memory alone. I looked down and gave a bitter smile, met with silence. No reply from the system. Have you abandoned me too? Maybe I shouldn't have come back to life, I muttered forlornly, time ticking away. Suddenly, the familiar voice spoke again, host Shin Yushi. Do you wish to rebind with System 933? Please confirm yes, or no. My eyes flickered, but I pretended to be overjoyed. That's great, you're still here. Yes, host, I have always been here. You were right, human emotions are too fickle. I lost to my own substitute. What about you? Will you betray me? I probed quietly, and after a few seconds of silence, the system continued. The system cannot betray the host, or it will be destroyed. I suddenly remembered the day I bound 4 years ago. The system had told me where its destruction key was to gain my trust, but I had been obsessed with coming back to life and trusted it completely. Host Shin Yushi, do you choose to rebind? The question was asked again, and I chose a yes. The binding process began to initiate. I suddenly asked, is Yuntian also your mission participant? Yes, it was somewhat surprised that I had noticed, but now that I agreed to rebind and there was no conflict of interest with Yuntian, it had no reason to hide anything. Moreover, system rules stipulate that the system cannot lie to its host. It turned out that it was Yuntian's main system's clone, specifically split to deceive the universal consciousness and steal my destiny, replacing my life with Yuntian's. I was supposed to die in the mission world, never expecting to complete the mission and return alive. The system had no authority to erase such subjects, it could only fulfill the promise to revive me. Yet, upon my return to the original world, just after meeting Yuntian, that destiny rushed back to me as if coming home. Yuntian thought it wouldn't be a big issue. With the system's support and years of accrued goodwill, it seemed manageable. I couldn't win against her even after coming back. The allure of the white moonlight was too overwhelming. Just a few encounters and her plans nearly succeeded to eliminate me as an obstacle. The system was compelled to deceive me into a binding that would force me to leave. Thus, the early death was a lie, and so was the plot about being replaced. All these were crafted to cater to Yuntian's desire over my life and the system's need for destiny manipulation. From the moment she entered this world, she had her sights set on me. 23. Has my mother's change in attitude got anything to do with you? Did you intentionally let her see my death in that mini-world? Or did you manipulate her to side with Yuntian? The system remained silent, merely speeding up the binding process. A clear enough answer, binding progress 80, 99, 100, host, we can leave now, since you've decided to abandon the past, let's leave it behind, from now on. I will be a system for you alone. It turned out to be Yun Tian. Once she knew I was willing to rebind, she unbound her system and stayed behind forever. Her mission as the adopted daughter of the Shin family had long been completed, she had been dragging it out with points, reluctant to leave or unbind. Now, she had made her choice. I was just feeling sleepy when someone brought me a pillow. Thank you for clearing things up. 9:33. I will never trust a traitor again. I quickly located and pressed the delete button in my mind. The next second, the system space in my mind flickered red, codes flew chaotically. Everything teetering on the edge of collapse. System 933 tasted betrayal for the first time. You will regret this. I won't. 24. Sister, I've stopped Mom. The phone rang, and the call connected, carrying Shinju's voice. Still frightened, relieved by the news, I grabbed my keys and ran out. You handled it well. Don't panic. I'm on my way. By the time I arrived at the abandoned warehouse, Yun Tian was gagged and lying in the dirty mud, and my mother, shaking with hatred, hesitated because of Shinju. Mom, this is illegal. It's no use glaring at me. If she doesn't die, your sister will. My mother hissed through clenched teeth. Shinju froze, bewildered. Move aside. Mother pushed him, attempting to continue her assault on Yun Tian, but I caught her in time. Mom, how did you get here? Leave. This has nothing to do with you. Yushi, listen to Mom and live well. Mother was shocked to see me, pushing me to leave. Mom, it's okay, now. Everything's over, just listen to me. I then revealed the secrets of my disappearance over the past 4 years, the process of being bound by the system, the recent discussions, and the destruction of the system. I knew it. There are no such coincidences in this world, Yushi. Mom failed to protect you. Mother cried uncontrollably, embracing me tightly, with Shinju also tearing up. 25. Yun Tian was brought back by Sejiha 3 years ago, initially. Mother detested this girl who resembled me. Disgusted by Sejiha's act of finding a substitute, her daughter was irreplaceable, even if there were millions of lookalikes in the world. After my disappearance, she began to suffer from insomnia and nervous breakdowns. However, after meeting Yun Tian, she suddenly started to dream of various scenarios of my death, hearing a voice telling her that treating Yun Tian well and loving her as her own daughter was the only chance for her child to return. Initially, she didn't believe it. As the images in her mind became more frequent and vivid, she tentatively began to reach out to Yun Tian, hoping for relief. Indeed, things improved. It was like seeing a beacon of hope. She showered Yun Tian with affection, which everyone assumed was her way of compensating for something missing. Yet, during the sleepless nights, she secretly prayed for her own child to return. Not long after she officially adopted Yun Tian, I truly came back, at just one glance. She recognized the differences between Yun Tian and me, and she was overwhelmed with emotion. She thought this would mark a perfect ending, but then that voice started haunting her again, warning that neglecting Yun Tian would bring me misfortune. Initially, she couldn't control herself and tried to make amends quietly, but to no avail. It was only after a car accident shattered her hope that she realized she must protect Yun Tian openly. She did as advised, and the situation improved. However, Mrs. Shin felt a chill run through her body. She firmly believed that the instigator would ultimately benefit from all this. Determined not to let me be constrained for life, she sent me abroad to lower my guard around Yun Tian and take matters into her own hands, to eliminate the threat. The voice was likely a result of hypnotic suggestion. After Mrs. Shin went missing, her mental state deteriorated, perhaps exploited during a moment of weakness. 26. Yun Tian woke up, looked around in panic, and then frantically sought our help. I turned towards the commotion, but Shinju screamed, "Where did Yun Tian go? Who is this?" The girl on the ground had an ordinary, unfamiliar face, one we had never seen before. That's Yun Tian. What? Shinju was confused, but Mrs. Shin was not as surprised. Now unbound, she no longer had to pretend and merely glanced briefly before looking away. Shinju tore off the tape from her mouth. Mom, save me. It was Shin Yushi who wanted to kidnap me. Save me. Seeing me, she tried to throw accusations my way, but Shinju quickly retaped her mouth, met with a fierce glare from Yun Tian. Can't you speak properly? We are here to rescue you. Don't be ungrateful. If you can't speak nicely, we might just leave you here alone in this abandoned warehouse. Who knows if those violent criminals might return, Shinju subtly threatened. Naturally, the kidnapping was orchestrated with hired goons, and Yun Tian hadn't seen their faces. The Shin family maneuvered behind the scenes. She could find no evidence. Yun Tian softened her demeanor, looking pleadingly at us, so Shinju tore off her tape again. Nevertheless, the kidnapping case was left unresolved, with no news leaking from the Shin family. 27. I am Miss Shin. Let me in. When Yun Tian returned from the hospital, nobody recognized her anymore. Her face bore no resemblance to her former self, and no one believed her claim of being Yun Tian. Stop pretending. Everyone knows Miss Shin. Do you think we are blind? The gates of the villa remained closed, and Yun Tian was driven away by security. I am Yun Tian, she fumed, but no one paid her any attention, until she saw Xie Zhiheng visiting. She approached him. Zhiheng, they won't let me go home. It must be Shin Yushi's doing. You are. Xie Zhiheng paused, faced with a stranger. I am Yun Tian. Don't you recognize me either? Yun Tian became agitated, then touched her face and screamed. Ah! My face. What's happened to my face? Finally, she saw her reflection in the glass. A face she had long forgotten was her own. Yun Tian was devastated, unable to accept it, and stumbled away desperately. Xie Zhiheng thought he had encountered a madwoman and paid her no mind. He was there to apologize. He didn't understand what had happened. He had exhausted their childhood friendship with his words, but he still owed an apology. I didn't accept his apology. He seemed distraught as he left. When I heard from him again, it was somehow related to Yun Tian, 28. Yun Tian couldn't accept her original appearance, and the system never returned. She didn't lack the desire for revenge, but each attempt ended with her getting caught red-handed, out of options. She turned her attention to Xie Zhiheng, hoping to start over, but without her previous face, Xie Zhiheng didn't recognize her. In a scuffle, they both ended up in a car accident. Xie Zhiheng injured his leg, and Yun Tian was left mentally incapacitated. I scrolled through the news on my phone, raising an eyebrow. It seemed like just desserts. Yushi, dinner's ready, my mother called out, carrying a pot of soup from the kitchen, my brother yawning sleepily. I got up, coming, outside. The moon hung perfectly in the sky, luminous